Hi everybody, this is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I have a layout that I made for this month's Stretch the Sketch. In this hop, we use a sketch that was made for a 12 by 12 inch layout, and we either stretch it to a larger format or we shrink it to a smaller one. For quite a while now, I've been shrinking my sketches to a smaller format for an album that I'm creating. This page measures 6¼ inches by 8½ inches. This month's sketch is from Page Maps. To create this page, I cut out a piece of white cardstock, and then for the pattern papers and the embellishments, I'm using an older collection from my mind's eye called Lost and Found. I didn't have too many embellishments for these pattern papers, but I did have some chipboard pieces, and I also had some die cuts. In the sketch, the photo all the way on the right has a frame around it, so I thought I would do the same on my layout. I thought that this chipboard frame from the embellishment pack that I had was perfect for emphasizing the photo that's on the right. I had to cut my photo down a little bit to fit inside the frame, and then I did the same thing to the other photo. For this layout, I have a photo of my husband on the left and then a photo of both of my daughters on the right. And the subject of this layout is what I'm grateful for. And what I'm very grateful for is the time that I spend with my family. There's really nothing better than that. And these photos were taken on a day that we all went shopping together. There was a large die cut. It said, I want to remember all of these little moments. It was way too big to use as one piece on this layout, so I cut it into two pieces, and I'm inking the edges of it with some distress ink in Vintage Photo. I'm putting half of the sentiments over the left-hand photo and then the other half below the right-hand photo. I was going through a little pile of scraps and I found this piece of paper, which is a perfect match for the green in the collection. I didn't end up using it to mat the photos, but I do use it later on in the layout. I instead decided to mat the photos using this really pretty pattern. I put the paper behind both photos just so that the two photos can be handled as one unit. This helps me to move the photos around a little more easily when they are combined into one unit, and it also helps me to keep everything on the page straight. So I attach both photos down to that piece of pattern paper, and I find that these smaller layouts come together so much more easily than larger layouts. I've really been enjoying taking a break every now and then from my 12 by 12 inch scrapbooking and make these smaller pages for this album. A while back, I took a class with Janet Fritz, and I made an album that was a little bit more about myself than most albums. I completed one album, or at least I completed all of the layouts for one album. I still have a little bit of work to do with printing out the journaling and I guess even editing it and revising it. But I wanted to make a second album so that both of my daughters would have one. So I'm working on that second album. In order to help the title pop a little bit, I'm mounting it on another one of the pattern papers from the My Mind's Eye Lost and Found collection that I'm using. And once again, I'm using my distress ink and inking all of the edges. Once I was sure that I liked the way that looked on the bottom part of the title, I did the exact same thing on the top. When I fussy cut around the title, I just tried to leave a very small, even mat all the way around. And it's not perfect, but I don't think you can really notice it unless you look really hard. As I mentioned, I meant to leave the greenish paper that I mounted the photo on the left on big enough so that it would go behind the photo on the right as well, so I could move it around as one unit, but I must have forgotten and I cut it smaller. So then I used some white cardstock to join those two photos together, and then I attached them down to the page. And now I'm also attaching down the top part of the title. I wasn't sure if I should tuck the title behind the photo mat or if I should layer it on top, and I finally decided that I would layer the bottom of the title at the top just slightly over the mat, and then I did the same thing with the top part of the title. It's in the lower right hand corner. I wanted to add a banner to the layout because there's a banner in the lower left-hand side of the sketch. I was thinking that I could put some of the banner in the upper right-hand corner too. So I used a die that was in my stash, and I have to say, for whatever reason, the combination of the yellow pattern paper I was using with that particular die didn't really work out too well. I cut the banner out so many times, and either the little sections of the banner were getting caught in the die, or the bow that was at either end of the banner just did not cut out. Things just kept getting ripped. I kept trying to recut it, but I finally had enough to make two banners, one on the top and one on the bottom. And then I cut the banner out a few more times out of some different colors, and then I cut those sections out and layered them on top. Then I layered some circular die cuts together to make that little embellishment. There was a little sunburst, and there was a striped button, and then a little circle that said $5. So I inked the edges of all of them and layered them on top of each other. I added a die cut on the bottom that said date, and I'll be recording the date there a little bit later on, I think after the video is over. I also found a little banner that says today, so I put that at the bottom of the page. And then after I had looked at my layout for a while, I decided that I really didn't like the banner that was there. It was just too tiny, and it looked like it was the wrong scale for the layout. So I got out yet another banner die, and I had the same problem with the paper and the die not wanting to cut those little bows that are on either end. I found that the green paper worked a little bit better than the yellow paper, although I had a little bit of trouble with the green paper too. But you can see there I have two banner dies cut out. One doesn't have the bow on one side, but that's okay. And then I used the same die and cut out banners in a few other colors. I cut those banners into sections, and then I'm going to layer all of those little pieces on top of the green banner. I wanted to make sure I had all of the adhesive off before I applied the new banner. I forgot to mention I added a little tiny dimensional sticker that says 50 cents to the right of the $5 sticker. I thought it just looked cute. And then I shouldn't have used ATG adhesive because sometimes it can cause very delicate die cuts to rip. And I did rip off one of the sections, but then I just pieced it back together. And then I was a little bit more careful with the second banner. And luckily I was able to apply the adhesive without ripping it. And then both banners are now attached down to the page. And I'm going to start adding those little sections and putting the different color banners on top of the green ones. I slightly offset the second layer because I wanted there to be a little hint of the green banner behind them. And I did leave one section of each banner green. I love to add photo corners to my layouts, so I use my photo corner punch and some distress ink to ink the edges, and I chose the orangish red color because I wanted there to be a little bit more of that color in the layout, and I used ATG adhesive to attach those two photo corners to my photo. I wanted to add some enamel dots. I have some small brown ones, and I added those to the title at the top and the title at the bottom. And then I was thinking it would look nice to have some enamel dots between the sections of the banners. And I wanted to have all different colors that match the sections of the banner. So I have some green enamel dots, some orange, red enamel dots, and then some yellow ones too. I found fairly small enamel dots that were luckily all about the same size, and I put those on the banners. I also put an enamel dot on the banner that says today that's on the bottom of the layout, but I ended up taking that off because I thought it was just too many enamel dots in too many places on such a small layout. I added a couple more enamel dots to the title. I found some brown dots that were just a tiny bit smaller than the ones that were already on there. And that was the very last touch, and this layout is complete. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed watching. Please don't forget to check out the links that are in the description box. They are to the videos of all the other scrapbookers who are creating Stretch the Sketch videos and layouts for this month. I wanted to thank every one of you once again for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.